Everyone thinks a narcissist gets angry when you stop reacting. The screaming, the rage, the punishment, that's what you've been warned about. But the truth is stranger and far more revealing, and it starts in the first 48 hours of your silence. Carl Jung understood something about people who feed on other people's emotions. Take away the emotion, and you take away the food. And what a starving ego does next is not what almost anyone expects. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly what happens inside a narcissist the moment you stop reacting. The hidden panic underneath the calm face. The predictable sequence they run through to pull you back in. And the one thing that happens at the very end that explains why your silence is the most powerful thing you've ever done. If someone has ever drained you, baited you, and left you feeling like you were the problem, stay with me to the end. Because the final stage is the one that sets you free. Let's clear something up first, because it changes how you'll hear everything else. When I say narcissist, I'm not handing you a clinical diagnosis. I'm describing a pattern. Anyone who relates to other people as a supply rather than as a person. Someone who needs your reaction the way a fire needs air. It doesn't even matter much whether the reaction is love or anger, admiration or tears. What they need is the proof that they can still move you, that they still have a grip on your inner world. And here's the part most people never understand. Your reaction isn't a side effect of the relationship. For them, it is the relationship. The drama, the chaos, the push and pull. That's not them losing control. That's them feeding. Every time you explain yourself, defend yourself, beg to be understood, or explode in frustration, you're handing them exactly what they came for. You are confirming that the connection still runs straight into the center of you. So, what happens when you stop? Not when you fight back louder, when you go quiet. When you become calm, unbothered, unreachable. When the line that used to carry all that emotional current suddenly goes dead. That's when you get to see what was really underneath the whole time. And Jung would say this is the moment the mask finally slips. Not yours. Theirs. By the end of this video, you'll be able to predict their behavior almost step by step. And once you can predict someone, they can never again convince you that you're the crazy one. So, let's go to the very first moment. You've stopped reacting. You're not cold, you're not cruel, you've just gone calm and quiet. What actually happens inside them? On the surface, often nothing. That's what fools people. They expect an instant reaction, and when it doesn't come, they assume their silence isn't working. But underneath that flat surface, something specific has started. And Jung gives us the key to see it. He taught that the ego builds itself an identity and then spends enormous energy defending that identity from anything that threatens it. For the narcissist, the entire identity is built on one belief. I have power over how others feel about me. That belief is the floor they stand on. It's how they know who they are. And your reaction is the daily proof that the floor is solid. Every time you respond, you tap the floor and it holds. So, when you go silent, you're not just being quiet. You are quietly removing the proof. And without the proof, that belief, I have power over you, starts to wobble. Not consciously. They won't sit and think, I feel powerless now. It's deeper and more primitive than thought. It's the specific anxiety of someone whose ground is shifting and who can't admit, even to themselves, that it's shifting. Jung called the contents, we refuse to face the shadow. And for the narcissist, the shadow is a bottomless fear that without their grip on others, they are nothing at all. Empty. Your silence walks them straight to the edge of that emptiness, and there is almost nothing a person fears more. Now watch what the panic does first, because it's counterintuitive. The first move is usually not aggression. The first move is confusion disguised as concern. Are you okay? You've been quiet. Did I do something? You're acting different. On the surface, it can even sound caring. But listen to what it's actually doing. It's a probe. It's a hand reaching into the dark to check whether the line is still live. They're testing. Can I still get a reaction out of you, even a small one? Because if they can get you to explain, to reassure, to re-engage even a little, then the floor holds and the panic recedes. This is the first place people slip. You've been strong, you've been quiet, and then comes this soft, almost vulnerable-sounding question, and it feels cruel not to answer it fully. So you explain, you reassure, you pour yourself back into the conversation, and just like that, you've tapped the floor for them. You've fed them. The panic eases, and the cycle resets. So understand what that calm face is really hiding in those first hours and days. Not indifference. Not a clear conscience. A quiet, rising alarm that the one thing they were sure of, their grip on you, might be slipping. And a person in that state is not done. They're just getting started. There's a deeper layer to this, and it's important. The narcissist often genuinely cannot tell the difference between losing control of you and being abandoned entirely. To a healthy person, those are different things. To them, they collapse into one. So your simple, calm silence doesn't register as she's setting a boundary. It registers as a threat to their very existence. That's why the reaction that's coming is so out of proportion to what you actually did. You went quiet. To them, the ground opened up. Now to the part that will genuinely change how you see all of this. Once the panic sets in and the gentle probing doesn't work, once you stay calm and don't take the bait, the narcissist runs through a sequence. And it is remarkably predictable. Once you've seen it laid out, you'll never be fooled by it again. Stage 1, the charm returns. Suddenly they're who they were at the very beginning. Warm, attentive, generous. The good morning messages, the compliments, the sudden interest in your day. People call this hoovering, the attempt to vacuum you back in. And here's the cruel part. It works on the part of you that always hoped this version was the real one. You think, finally, they see it. They're changing. But notice the timing. This warmth didn't appear when you were giving everything. It appeared the moment you stopped. It's not love, it's recruitment. They're not reaching for you. They're reaching for their supply. Stage 2. If charm fails, manufactured crisis. When sweetness doesn't reopen the line, the volume goes up. Suddenly there's an emergency. They're sick. Something terrible happened. They're spiraling. They need you. Only you can help. Why a crisis? Because a crisis is almost impossible for a caring person to ignore. It bypasses your boundary by going straight for your compassion. Especially if you're an empath, this one is engineered for you specifically. They know you can walk away from their cruelty, but can you walk away from their pain? That's the question the manufactured crisis is really asking. Stage 3. If crisis fails, provocation. Now they go looking for any reaction at all. They'll say the thing they know cuts deepest, bring up the old wound, insult you, blame you, rewrite the history of the relationship to cast you as the villain. And here's what you have to understand. By this stage, they would rather have your anger than your peace. They've given up on the warm reaction. Now they just need a reaction. Rage means the line is live. Rage means they still matter. Your fury to them is a relief. It proves they still live rent-free inside you. Stage 4, the smear. When you give them nothing, not warmth, not guilt, not anger, they turn outward. Now, the story begins. To friends, to family, to anyone who'll listen. You changed, you went cold, you are the cruel one, maybe you're the narcissist. This one hurts, and I won't pretend it doesn't. But understand what it actually is. The smear campaign is not strength. It's the tantrum of someone who lost direct access and is now scrambling to regain control through other people. It's the loudest possible confession that your silence worked. Do you see the pattern underneath all 4 stages? Charm, crisis, provocation, smear. Every single one is a different shaped key trying to open the same lock, your reaction. And everyone only works if you hand over the emotion they came for. Jung said, "What you resist persists." But there's a quieter truth beside it. What you stop feeding cannot keep its shape. The whole sequence is built on the assumption that you will eventually break and respond. Your only job, and it is enough, is to remain the one thing the entire machine isn't built to handle: calm. And I want to be honest with you about something here. Staying calm through these 4 stages is hard. It will feel at moments like cruelty, like you're being heartless. You're not. You're refusing to participate in a cycle that was always designed to drain you. There is a difference between cruelty and finally stopping the bleeding. Letting someone face the consequences of losing their grip on you is not abuse. It's just the end of being used. Now to what I promised, the final stage. The one that explains why your silence is the most powerful thing you've ever done. After the charm, the crisis, the provocation, the smear, when none of it brings you back, something happens that almost no one talks about. The narcissist moves on, often suddenly, often to someone new, who they'll treat at first like the most special person alive. And if you're not ready for it, this is the part that can break your heart all over again, because it looks like proof that you never mattered, that you were replaceable, that the whole thing meant nothing. I need you to hear this very clearly, because it's the truth that sets you free. Them moving on quickly is not evidence that you didn't matter. It's evidence of the opposite. They didn't replace you, a person, a soul, someone irreplaceable. They replaced a function, a source of supply. The reason they could move on so fast is precisely that they were never bonded to the real you in the first place. They were bonded to what you gave them. You cannot be replaced. A function can. And the speed of the replacement is the clearest confession that to them you were always the second thing and never the first. Jung wrote about this kind of relating with a kind of sorrow. A person who cannot see others as fully real, who experiences them only as extensions of their own needs, lives in a profound and permanent loneliness, even surrounded by people. They go from supply to supply because none of it ever fills the emptiness, because the emptiness was never about you. It was there long before you, and it will be there long after. That is not your wound to heal. You were never going to be enough, because enough was never the game. And here is where your freedom actually lives. When you finally understand that none of it was about your worth, that you could have been kinder, more patient, more beautiful, more endlessly giving, and it still would have ended the same way. Something inside you can finally set the burden down. You stop asking, "What was wrong with me?" Because you can see at last that the question was always backwards. So, what does your silence ultimately do? It doesn't punish them. That was never the point. And revenge is just the line staying live in a different costume. What your silence does is far better than punishment. It removes you from a game you could never win, and it hands them back the one thing they spent the entire relationship running from: themselves. Their own emptiness, with no one left to fill it. You don't have to do anything to them. You simply stop being the mirror that let them avoid their own reflection. And there is nothing more powerful than that. So, let me speak to you now, the person who lived this. Because this was never really a video about narcissists. It was about you and about the strength you've been underestimating. If you've ever stopped reacting and then felt that wave of guilt, that maybe you were being cold, maybe you should answer the message, maybe you're the bad one, I want you to hear this. The guilt you feel is not proof you did something wrong. It's the residue of a long time spent being responsible for someone else's feelings. That responsibility was never yours to carry. And setting it down is going to feel at first exactly like dropping something you were told you must always hold. Your calm is not coldness. Your silence is not cruelty. They are the sound of you finally choosing yourself after a very long time of choosing everyone but. Jung said the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And the truest version of you is not the one who keeps the peace by abandoning herself. It's the one who can stay kind, stay deep, stay open, and still refuse to be anyone's fuel. And if you're in the middle of it right now, if the messages are coming, the charm, the crisis, the provocation, I want you to remember one thing above all. Every stage you're watching them run through is not a sign that you're losing. It's the proof that your silence is working. The louder they get, the closer you are to free. You don't have to win the argument. You don't have to make them understand. You just have to stay calm and let the silence finish what it started. If you take one thing from this video, let it be this. You were never too much and you were never not enough. You were simply giving something real to someone who could only take. And the moment you stop reacting is the moment you take it all back. If any part of this described your life, do something small for me. In the comments below, write the words, "The silence works." I read every comment in the first few days, and I want to see how many of you are standing in that exact silence right now, because you are far less alone in it than you feel. And if this gave words to something you've lived but could never quite explain, subscribe and stay close. Every week, I take the things we were taught to ignore, the silence, the shadow, the patterns that quietly run our lives, and I put them into language through the lens of Jung and the psychology of how we love. The next video goes deeper into the real reason these people found you in the first place, and once you understand that, you change who you attract for good. Until then, protect your peace. It was never coldness. It's the most powerful thing you own.